YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. And today I got my Detroit Lions 2021 offseason rebuild. We go through the cap space situation, make cuts, restructures, resign players, go through free agency in the NFL draft. We're doing this for every single team. We've already done it for quite a few teams. All kinds of NFL offseason content on the channel, whether it's trades, free agency, NFL draft. Had a Russell Wilson trade rumors, landing spots video just go up, so check it out. And please subscribe to the channel because we got loads of content here. Follow our Twitter for instant news, breaking down everything. And you see underneath me, walkthemock.com, the best and one-of-a-kind draft simulator out there. You can draft with your friends, create draft lobbies, join live lobbies right now, draft with other users. Very cool. So you can sign up, use my code GOATHOUSE. It ends up being really cheap then. So very cool stuff. Link pinned in the comments and description for anything that you need there, including that. Here's our Twitter. Some Corey Linsley news, the Packers center. A lot of Russell Wilson news. We're all instantly talking about this stuff when it breaks. And here's a little cheat sheet. Offseason projections based on, or basically cap space projections by myself, potential cuts and potential savings for every single team. I'll pin a link in the comments for that. Pretty useful stuff. Lions, cap space around -$4 million. Again, we still don't know the team's salary cap right now. It's an odd offseason. We'll get that number, and then we'll know everyone's exact cap space eventually. Hopefully sometime soon, early March. But we're going to have to make some cuts for the Lions. Desmond Trufant, they got a pretty good young, maybe they're not that great right now, but they're going to be pretty good in no time, I think. Jeff Okudah, Amani Aruarie, a good young cornerback duo. So it's worth saving that $6.18 million, cutting Desmond Trufant. Let's develop the young guys. I don't really like when teams insist on developing young guys, instead of getting better. They're usually afraid to get better. But the Lions just traded Matthew Stafford. They're gaining picks. They're clearly in rebuild mode. It makes 100% sense, and those corners are going to be good. So Nick Williams is solid, but I'd rather just clear the 4.7. Contribute to the rebuild. Rebuilds really aren't the same anymore. It used to take forever. We want to make this a 2-year turnaround. Maybe one more offseason can do it. So Danny Shelton, clear the $4 million. This defensive line could be made much better. It needs to be better anyways. So after all that, we're into positive $10.88 million in cap space. So that's all right. Need to clear some more. Restructures are a little tricky with the Lions. Jared Goff has the most in the league on what you could clear by restructuring. I went ahead and restructured his contract and cleared $20.04 million. It's a lot of money. You're basically pushing that money back, and that's fine. I kind of expect them to do that. And that could be the only thing they do, but I went ahead and did Trey Flowers, 8.93. It's a lot of money. But they also have guys like Jamie Collins, Big V, Justin Coleman. They can save a lot of money doing those guys as well. But why they may be hesitant to do that is because they're kind of a rebuild team. So you're shifting that money back into years where you're not really, next year, the year after, you're not really a real rebuild team. We want to win now mode. Again, want to turn things around quick. It's not a 5-year rebuild. You got a guy like Jared Goff. He's a veteran. Get other key pieces. So you probably don't want to push too much money back. You're not desperate to make a whole bunch of crazy signings right now. But it would be nice to get veterans that are also still young to contribute to that in a quick turnaround, because it won't be a quick turnaround unless you make some moves. So I went and cleared that. Restructured those. We'll see if those happen. Jared Goff, that's a big number to clear. So it ends up being $39.85 million. So now we're on to re-signings. I'm just going to go ahead and tag Kenny Golladay. I wouldn't be against re-signing him long-term. I just think the tag is very, very realistic. So we'll go ahead and do that. It was at $15.8 million around there. In terms of, we have a tag video out there in terms of how much he'll cost this year. Romeo Okwara, people are kind of putting him on different landing spots, and I haven't done that yet. And this is why. He actually has a team option, and I don't see any world where they wouldn't pick up this option. He had a very good season last year, and it's very cheap. It's at the point where he's going to need more money so they can work on an extension with him. Romeo Okwara, they drafted Julian Okwara last year. They have Trey Flowers, too. It's a pretty good trio there for the future, I think. Maybe Trey Flowers won't be that long, maybe. Picking up Romeo Okwara's option. He's not a free agent until they decline it. They're not going to decline it. Get Matt Prater back, kicker. Get some special teamers here. Jamal Agnew, who's been a pretty good returner for them. So those guys would be on the cheaper side. And then we move on to option 1 for the top tier targets here. Again, the interior defensive line just got to be better in general, and we cut some guys, so it just really got to be better. Poona Ford's a very underrated free agent. He's been pretty damn good for the Seahawks. He stops the run, and he gets interior pressure. He can move around. This would be a big signing, I think, for them. He's going to cost more than people think. And they have linebackers, but they haven't really been working out. We're letting Jared Davis walk. I had a veteran that's very solid, like Matt Milano, that's also very young as well. A lot of these guys they're veterans. They're good, smart players, but they're still young. They could be part of that quick turnaround rebuild. So get a guy like Matt Milano, just helps the linebacker unit in general. And they could use an offensive lineman. It's tough to figure out what this new staff is going to do with a guy like Big V, who they got last year to play right tackle, but he's better at guard. So are you going to need a right tackle or are you going to need a guard? It's kind of a question here. Matt Filer has experience in both. He's not going to cost too much there, so you can grab him and then try to work that out maybe on the practice field. I would hope they probably already have a plan in place on who's going to play where. But the rest of the offensive line should continue to get better. I love Decker at left tackle. Jonah Jackson's going to be good. They got some young. Ragnow's really good. They're going to be fine the rest of the way. They got to play better. But let's just complete the unit, I suppose. Let me go to the draft. I think Devontae Smith's realistic. I really like the fit of him in a Jared Goff offense. A lot of when the success with Jared Goff and the McVay offense, it's a lot of scheming things up, just quick passes to a guy that could play in the slot, play outside. We're describing Devontae Smith here, so I think I really like that fit. Pairing him with Kenny Golladay, putting him with a guy like Jared Goff in that offense. They could use another safety. Honestly, they can go without, they could because they got some young guys. I do like Tracy Walker, who has experience at free and strong. Get a guy like Javon Holland, who can play strong. He also can play corner, whether it's in the slot outside. Again, they're probably okay at corners. Justin Coleman's an inconsistent slot. One week he looks like one of the better slot corners in football, and 1 week he's pretty terrible. So a little inconsistent, but Holland is very solid, evenly solid at all those positions, but potentially pairing him with Tracy Walker would be ideal. So getting another defensive tackle, one that's more established at getting after the quarterback in terms of the interior pressure. Jalen Twyman from Pittsburgh, he was getting a little bit of buzz about first round, and that's completely died. He did opt out, so it's a sneaky good pick here. And they have multiple three day two picks. That's why I have an extra pick here with some of these teams like the Lions. And they're going to need another receiver because they got Kenny Golladay, they got Devontae Smith. So they can add like a big body guy like Nico Collins there from Michigan. I think that's ideal. He's a little underrated as well. So that'll be your receiver trio. They do have guys like Cephas, but you could get better around there, and he can continue to get better. But yeah, I kind of like that idea, that scenario. Scenario 2, like I said, maybe they won't go big at safety. Maybe they will. They bring in a Saints defensive coaching tree here. Marcus Williams probably going elsewhere from the Saints. He's probably not going back. Could if they clear enough money, but so maybe if they want to go this route, maybe add a free safety. They can go multiple different routes here because Tracy Walker's familiar with both. I like him at either safety position. They kind of can go a split safety look where it's just two safeties. It's really a lot of teams do that these days. There's really no free or strong. Marcus Williams is familiar with that type of system. So they can go that route there, spend a little bit at the safety position. Curtis Samuel, I think, would be a good fit. With a guy like Kenny Golladay. Curtis Samuel you can put in the slot or outside. You can get unique with them in the backfield. They'll like all that. So I think that'd be a pretty good fit. And then adding a nose tackle and Dalvin Tomlinson. Again, they're going to need to address the interior defensive line. So Dalvin Tomlinson's going to come in there and stop the run. Compared to like a guy like Poona Ford, Tomlinson's probably going to stop the run. He's going to plug gaps better. Poona Ford's going to get a little more pressure, but he's more of like a balanced guy. So this route, you can go Dalvin Thompson. Another guy that's probably going to get more money than people realize. So they go to the draft, and they could trade back a little bit for this one, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame, but I really like the fit here, not getting a linebacker in free agency. Owusu-Koramoah really just fits today's style defender. I'll just say a linebacker, but defender in general. Because he's so rangy, he can get in the backfield on runs. He can get after the quarterback, though, as well. He is so dominant covering, whether it's a linebacker or the slot corner position. So sometimes you got to take linebackers off the field on obvious passing situations, but not this guy. He's just always around the ball making plays. So I think the Lions could use a guy like that. Maybe a little bit of a trade back, but I can see scenarios with him going as early as this, maybe even the Eagles. So they need another receiver there. is a potential number one because you want to have multiple. Amon-Ra St. Brown, they'll like from USC in the second round. Adding another D tackle with Dalvin Tomlinson because they're a little short on the defense tackles in this scenario. Get a guy like Marvin Wilson, a guy that's going to provide a little more pressure than Dalvin Tomlinson, from Florida State. And then they could add that offensive lineman that could potentially play right tackle, and a guy like Spencer Brown from Northern Iowa, who's definitely a sleeper, could go in the third round here. So, I like these scenarios for the Lions. A lot of good fits here, a lot of things that make sense. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Do they clear that cap space because they want to get guys that can help win now, but also be part of the future, kind of like I did here? Or they kind of pump the brakes a little bit, hit the brakes and be like, we don't need to get desperate right now. Let's take it easy a little bit. So there's multiple scenarios they can go here. So I'm excited to see what they do. I'm excited to see what it looks like with Jared Goff on a team like this, so that it's going to be weird at first. It's going to be interesting. So, really excited about that. We're doing this for every single team. We've done it for quite a few already. Plenty of NFL offseason content and more to come. So join us. Smash that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on, follow us on Twitter, any link that you need in the comments. That's going to do it, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.